Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, back with the latest Bears rumors and news. And we got to hit some NFL news off the top because we've been waiting for the news to drop about Aaron Rodgers and what decision he is going to make. Well, he's made it. Pat McAfee broke the news earlier today. His good pal at the Pat McAfee Show, according to my sources, his source is Aaron Rodgers. He will be returning to the Green Bay Packers. No deal currently in place, but apparently it's going to be a cap-friendly deal. That is the one confusion about all of this. McAfee does claim that retirement was real for Rodgers, a real consideration, but in the end, he has decided to go back to the Packers. Ian Rappaport added this in terms of the contract. He says 4 years, $200 million to make him the highest paid player in NFL history. He gets a whopping $153 million guaranteed, and his cap number goes down. Monstrous commitment by Green Bay for years to come. Now, Rodgers disputed that. We'll get to that in a second, but hello, darkness, my old friend. That's kind of the initial reaction. Now that it's been a couple of hours, I'm like, okay, Rodgers is back, so what? Let's go beat him, right? I mean, that's the attitude you need to have if you are the Chicago Bears, but you just can't, we can't escape this guy, can we? I mean, it's just, he loves the attention, and he gets the attention. It's all very painful at the end of the day. If you had one word to describe Aaron Rodgers, and you guys can be as edgy as you'd like. I'm curious to see what you guys comment on this one. One word to describe Aaron Rodgers. I'll let you decide what that word is. You guys sound off in the comment section, but let me know. Give me one word to describe Aaron Rodgers, and I'm fascinated to read the comments on this video. Now, I did mention that Rodgers did dispute the contract side of it. He took to Twitter because he loves the spotlight and said, hey, I want to clear things up. Yes, I will be playing with the Packers next year. However, reports about me signing a contract are inaccurate, as are the supposed terms of the contract that I signed, saying he hasn't signed anything. I'm excited to be back, #year 18. So he's confirming he's back. Maybe, he's not committing to a new 4-year deal. Who knows what that ends up, how that ends up playing out. I'm sure we'll get more details. Ian Rappaport did add this as well. The Packers have now officially franchise tagged Davante Adams. So both are back, and we figured that would be the case. If Rodgers returns, so will Adams. So that's your Packers NFC North update. And Bears fans, we at least have one more year having to face these two guys. But hey, if you can't run away, then hopefully we can beat these guys this year. All right, let's get into today's Bears rumors roundup and kind of get into some more Bears specific stuff. By the way, Russell Wilson trade to the Broncos too. Crazy. Khalil Mack trade. Could it happen? One smoking J on this one. I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely, but I do think it's possible. It's greater than a 0% chance. Several Bears blogs, Bears Twitter has been speculating about this. I mean, hell, we've speculated on this show a couple times with some of your questions on our mailbags. And now it kind of resurfaced at the NFL Combine. That's when free agency buzz, trade rumors start to circulate. And Khalil Mack was a name that was talked about in Indianapolis. Due to the fact that the Bears want to get more draft picks and they don't have a first-round pick, and Khalil Mack is someone who could potentially get you that. He's still a really good player. Did miss the final 10 games last year with a foot injury. The challenge is trading Mack only saves about $3.2 million in cap space. His dead cap hit for this year would be $24 million, which is a lot, but if he got you a first-round pick, it's at least something worth considering. Now, that's the question. Would trading Khalil Mack get you a first-round pick in return? I don't know. Maybe. I think there's a decent chance. Could it get you a first and more? That I'm not so sure, because he did miss 10 games last year. He's over 30 years old now. He's still really good. I mean, 6 sacks in 7 games. He probably would have had 12 to 15 sacks a year ago had he stayed healthy. And by the way, he was banged up for about 5 of those 7 games. He was battling through a foot sprain before they decided to shut him down. So who knows what a fully healthy season would have looked like. Him and Robert Quinn were looking like the best duo in the NFL through 5, 6, 7 games. He's still elite. Khalil Mack is still an elite player. Make no mistake about it. He's also the player that gets you the most in a trade, probably, outside of maybe Justin Fields, depending on how teams feel about him through one season due to the fact he's a quarterback. But Khalil Mack is a top, when healthy, 15 defensive player, top 10 maybe still. He's really, really good, and he's obviously been very productive for the Bears. But again, if you could get a first-round pick, and I've said this all along, you at least have to consider that. You don't have to do it, but you have to consider it if you are Ryan Poles. Would you, Bears fans, I'll ask you, trade Khalil Mack for a first-round pick? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get your votes in on this one down in the comments. You look at the Bears' defensive line depth chart. If you traded Khalil Mack, obviously, you know, that takes a hit, right? Because you already are going to have to fill defensive tackle. Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols, they're free agents. Eddie Goldman could get cut. But, you know, the upside is Robert Quinn would still be here. You could start Travis Gibson in Mack's spot. You know, Mario Edwards can be a rotation guy. Maybe you draft or sign kind of a cheaper pass rusher. Jeremiah Attachu could be back as well if the Bears decide to keep him. So you could not replace Mack, but at least that's a spot where you've got some bodies compared to some other positions. Now, I don't think Mack gets traded. If you ask me right now, I don't think it happens. But if it does, you got Gibson in there who had 7 sacks last year. He's not going to replace Mack by himself, but he can hold his own. If Quinn has another good year, you're okay. And if you get what if you get a top 20 pick and you draft a Chris Olave or someone like that, or a really good offensive lineman like the center out of Iowa, whose name is Tyler Linderstrom. His name's drawing a blank on me right now. Linderbaum, that's his name. But the point being is, those are things you have to consider. And, hey, these are the challenges of being a first-year GM like Ryan Poles is. You got to answer the phone. You got to see what guys are worth in a trade. And, I think there's some question marks how much Khalil Mack would actually get you in a trade. I'll tell you this. If the Bears trade Khalil Mack or make another notable move, we will have a video for you. I can promise you that. Turn on those notifications after you subscribe, and we'll keep you guys updated. First, you got to subscribe. Second, you click that bell. And here's the deal. A lot of you guys don't have notifications turned on, so you miss some of our videos. Don't be that guy. Turn on those notifications so you are made aware on your phone or tablet every single time we publish a show. Let's shift to Allen Robinson. Is he gone? I think so. 3 Smoking Jays. I really wanted to go 4, but until it's officially official or someone announces that there's no chance he's returning, then there's at least a chance. Now, the Bears did not franchise tag Allen Robinson. No surprise there. By the way, origin of this video is just common sense. This is where this has been trending. More evidence he will walk in free agency. There's even reports out there that the Bears will not re-sign him before free agency starts, if at all, which, again, I don't think they will. But the question for him, like Khalil Mack, how much does it get you in a trade? How much does Allen Robinson fetch on the open market? I think that's a fair question. I don't know. The wide receiver market is thinning out. I do know that. Does that benefit the Bears or Allen Robinson more? Probably Allen Robinson more, if you're being real, because if you're dead set on letting A-Rob go to replace him with other guys, well, who are those guys going to be if you're Chicago? Chris Godwin, franchise tag. Davante Adams, tag. Mike Williams signed a massive deal to stay with the Chargers. Gallup, all reports suggest he's going to re-sign with Dallas. Calvin Ridley, you want to trade for him? It ain't happening. He just got a 1-year suspension with the Atlanta Falcons for gambling on games. So those are 5 names we've discussed a lot here on this channel, and it appears none of them are available. So it's kind of twofold. Number one, Allen Robinson might get the bag now, because if you're a team that needs a receiver, someone might say, well, A-Rob's clearly the best name out there. I'll throw $20 million a year at him. Mike Williams got 3 years and $60 million. A-Rob before this year was clearly a better receiver than Mike Williams. Now, maybe that has shifted and teams view those two guys differently now, but A-Rob's had a better career than Williams. There's no doubt about that. The second part of this is, if you're the Bears and you're trying to fill that position, who are you going to get in? I mean, do you circle back to A-Rob and try to bring him back? Can you mend that fence that was broken by the last regime? I don't know. Do you want to? Do you go DJ Chark, Christian Kirk instead? We'll talk about a different receiver coming up, but these top-flight guys that could have been available, they're not really there. And if you want to mention an OBJ, well, the report is he's not going to be healthy until November. So it's not like he's an option. So, yeah, I mean, the market's thinning out. Could be good for A-Rob. Not great for the Bears at the end of the day. 3 Smoking Jays. I think he's almost certainly gone. Get going with BetUS, our sportsbook partner here. at Chat Sports, at Chicago Bears Now, chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code is Bear Down. By the way, the NCAA tournament is just around the corner. March Madness. You want to go bet on Illinois? Loyola Chicago is back in the dance. They won their conference tournament. Whatever your favorite team is, go gamble on them. Chatsports.com/Bears. Use that promo code Bear Down to get a 125% deposit bonus. You take a look at Robinson's past 2 years before this year, because 2021 was a disaster. That's why I'm so curious to see what his market is, and I think the wide receiver market thinning out benefits him. Had he had a season like this year hitting the open market, he'd get 20+ million easy. But he had about 450 yards this year, so I don't think that's going to happen for him. But, with all these guys being unavailable all of a sudden, maybe there is a team that'll throw $20 million per year at Allen Robinson. Now, would you be open to re-signing A-Rob? Not flat out do it, but just open to the idea of it. Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no. Would you be open to re-signing Allen Robinson? We'll see what happens in the next week or so. Next up, how about signing Marques Valdes-Scantling from the Packers? 2 smoking Jays. I think there's some truth to this. People are talking. I think it's a possibility for a couple of reasons now. Evan Massey from NFL Analysis broke this, and take everything he says with a great grain of salt. He says, according to a source, the Bears will have interest in, it's supposed to say MVS. Apologize on that one. But nevertheless, Marques Valdes-Scantling, obviously the Luke Getsy connection, he knows him well. Elite speed, can take the top off a defense. But let's be clear when we're talking about Valdes-Scantling. He's got limitations. I mean, you see the numbers last year, 430 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's not like he's a complete wide receiver. The career numbers kind of tell you one story, that he's a home run hitter, but he doesn't hit a ton of home runs, right? You like the average yards per catch. In 4 seasons, 2,100 yards. He's a 550-yard guy per year. Maybe he gets a bigger role elsewhere. But at best, let me be very clear about this. Marques Valdes-Scantling is a number 3 receiver at best, at least right now. Maybe that changes, but based on what I've seen, based on what the numbers suggest, he's a number 3. He's a deep threat. Occasionally a guy you throw it underneath and he makes some yards after the catch, but he is not a guy that runs the complete route tree. He's not solving your wide receiver issues alone. He could help. If he's your number 3 and you've got Darnell Mooney, maybe you go get another receiver and you got 3 solid players, but he cannot be more than a wide receiver 3 right now. So let's be very clear. We've talked about A-Rob. I think he's gone. You don't have another guy on this roster, free agent or not, that can come back and be a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. I'd be okay with Valdes-Scantling is my number 3, but that's it. He can't be a number 2. He certainly can't be a number 1, at least at this point in his career. Would I like to bring him in as your number 3 than like a DJ Chark? As like a co-1A, 1B with Mooney? I'd be okay with that. Now, you wouldn't have a true number 1, but you'd have 3 solid receivers, and I think that would be okay considering how dried up this wide receiver market has gotten, with Amari Cooper as the lone exception if the Cowboys do indeed cut him. Now, name a wide receiver you want the Bears to sign. Yes, you can type Amari Cooper because all the tea leaves point to him becoming available. If he doesn't, maybe a DJ Chark, a Christian Kirk. If you want to mention OBJ, even though he's not going to be healthy by week 1, you can mention them as well. But name a receiver that you would like to see the Bears sign this year.